and welcome. We're going to talk about group factoring today. Now, not every four-term polynomial is able to be factored using group factoring, but the ones that we're going to be using today are set up to be able to use group factoring. Basically, the idea is you're going to look at the first two terms only and see, is there something that I can take out of those two terms? In this case, you could take out a 5 and an x squared. When I divide, or factor out, I should say, a 5x squared from each of these, I get x minus 4 left inside. So when I come over to this side, and I include this sign, and I look at the last two terms, I say to myself, what can I factor out so that what I'm left with in my parenthesis is an x minus 4. That way, I can finish this group factoring. So I see that they have a 3 in common, and if I pull out a 3, that makes this just an x. So that's probably what I want. It's a positive, so plus 3. When I factor out a 3, 3 comes out of 3x and becomes just x. When I divide negative 12 by 3, I get negative 4. Now, this is the part that some students have difficulty with. What is multiplied in each of these expressions is a term and a parenthesis with x minus 4 in it. A term and a parenthesis with x minus 4 in it. The parentheses are identical. And because the parentheses are identical, that says I need to factor out the parenthesis. Like we factored a 3 out of both of these, we're going to factor the parenthesis out of both of these. What that leaves me with in the other parenthesis are these two pieces. Theirs go in this parenthesis. And that's how you group factor. Let's see this one. Pause it and give this one a try, having looked at that last one. See if you can do it. Hopefully you can. And then you can unpause it and we'll do it out. All right, now that you've given it a try, I look at the last two terms. Now, occasionally, there are problems out there, not necessarily the ones I'm going to have in this worksheet, but there are occasionally problems out there where you have to reorder what you have up here so that it will work with group factoring. But in this case, they're already set up that way. I can pull out a 3x to the second here. That leaves me with 2x minus 3 inside. Over here, including the sign, I want to pull out something so that I'm left with 2x minus 3 inside. Well, I notice that if I pull out a 5, that's what they have in common, it's going to leave me, if I pull out a positive 5, that's going to leave me with a negative 2x plus 3. And that's not what I wanted. So instead, I need to pull out a negative 5. Now, the other way you can approach this is you can say, what times 2x gives me negative 10x? And that's negative 5. And that's the other way you could think about it. And if that works, hopefully, negative 5 divided gives me 2x. 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 3. Yep. And that did give me what I was looking for. Remember, if that doesn't work and it comes out to something different here, maybe 2x minus 5 instead of 3, then it's not going to work with group factoring. So just keep that in mind. I'm going to pull out the 2x minus 3 that they have in common, and the other parenthesis will be filled with these two, 3x squared minus 5, and there's my answer. Let's take a look at another style of group factoring, and that's one like this. This one, when you first look at it, you're like, hey, that doesn't look like the last ones we did. That's correct, it doesn't. I look at the first two terms though, it does have 4 terms. So I look at the first 2 terms and I see a 7 that they have in common. So I'm going to pull out a 7 and that leaves me with x plus 3y. So when I come over here and I look at these 2 terms including that sign, I could say what times x gives me negative ax, and that would be negative a. And I can see that these both have an a in common, so let's pull out a negative a and see what happens here. Negative ax divided by negative a makes it a positive x. Negative 3ay divided by negative a is a positive 3y, because the a canceled out. And now I've got identical terms inside, x plus 3y. And then the other one, things on the outside, 7 minus a. All right, let's take a look at the last example. Here we have another example. I'd like you to give it a try. Pause the video, unpause, and see how it's done. All right, so we're going to take a look at the answer here. I can see that they have a 5 and an x in common. That leaves me with, let's see, 2a minus 1b. Over here, they have, if I multiply what times 2a gives me negative 6a, that'd be negative 3. They have a 3 in common, but I have to use a negative 3 here. So negative 6a divided by negative 3 is positive 2a. Positive 3b divided by negative 3 is a negative b. And the parentheses are identical, and that's what I was shooting for. So my 2a minus b and my 5x minus 3. And there you have it. I hope this helped, and good luck.